Phoenix, Alex, Noah, Hunter,
Ooh, 4 for 4. Proud of you.
You can do it.
it's not Evan.
It starts with an E.
It starts with an E, it's Eli.
Yes.
Yes. Eli,
5 for 5.
Mason, Carly,
Okay. And
yes, and an I, and
Amon.
Amon. All right.
That's special.
All right. Both sides ready to go? All right. Captain, still the same. All right. Good luck, guys. Toss up 1. Now, out of curiosity, is this a preview of a district match or a regionals match? Regionals, okay. You guys were the most insanely overloaded region in the entire state last year.
It was crazy.
First and third.
Toss up 1. The acentric and compressibility factors can be used to modify this law, and the Ping-Robinson and Riedlich-Kwong equations are alternatives to it. First derived by Emil Clapeyron, this law's generalization is known as the van der Waals equation. Yes?
Ideal gas law.
10 bonus. Just out of power. Bonus. Identify these people who've served as U.S. Secretary of State for 10 points each. What man served as Secretary of State under John Adams before being named Supreme Court Chief Justice, a position he served in longer than anyone else in American history?
John Marshall.
What man who served as U.S. Secretary of State under Millard Fillmore, William Henry Harrison, and John Tyler fought against the idea of nullification while serving as a Massachusetts senator? Answer.
Webster.
The first female Secretary of State was what woman who succeeded Warren Christopher to become Secretary of State under Bill Clinton in 1997? Answer.
Lynn.
No, Captain. No.
Albright.
Madeline Albright, yeah.
Oh.
So 20 points in the bonus. A little bit before your time, guys. Makes me feel old. Toss up 2. This author wrote a novel about a young African-American farm worker struggling with his identity. In his short story, The Man Who Was Almost a Man, this author of Black Boy included a series of, yes,
Richard Wright.
15 bonus. Identify the following diseases for 10 points each. Diagnosed with a sweat test and resulting in the absence of the vas deferens is this disease that sees mucus buildup occur in the tissues and lungs.
Cystic fibrosis.
Yes. Caused by a poly-Q tract on chromosome 4, what disease leads to jerky movements known as chorea and causes dementia and writhing after age 30?
Huntington's disease.
What autosomal disease common among Ashkenazi Jews can be diagnosed by a cherry red spot that appears in the retina?
Say that.
30. Toss up 3. To occur, this process must satisfy the Lawson criteria and overcome the Coulomb barrier. A tokamak features a current running through a magnetic field to model this process, and the CNO cycle and proton-proton chains are forms of it. Fleischmann and Pons attempted to produce a yes?
A fusion.
10 bonus. And your bonus. Identify these John Steinbeck novels for 10 points each. What novel that is a retelling of the Cain and Abel story takes place in the Salinas Valley and centers on the Trask family? Answer? No answer, Captain?
Used to be in.
What novel set in Monterey, California concerns a group of paisanos, including Danny, Pablo, and Pilar? Answer? No, Captain?
Canterbury Road.
Tortilla Flat. Tortilla Flat. What Steinbeck novella tells the stories of Jody Tiflin and his life on his father's California ranch? Answer?
No.
No, Captain?
The Red Pony.
The Red Pony. So 20 points over here. And toss up 4. When the continuity equation is added to these, they are named after Jefferminko, and they can be used to derive the electromagnetic wave equation. The existence of magnetic monopoles would disprove one of these, and the displacement, yes?
Maxwell's equation.
That is 10, just barely out of power. One word. Displacement ended power. Identify these Roman emperors for 10 points each. This man's death ended the Pax Romana, and he is the author of the Meditations. This co-ruler with Lucius Verus was the last of the 5 good emperors.
Marcus Aurelius.
This man's lover Antinous drowned, and he put down the Bar Kokhba revolt. This 3rd good emperor built a namesake wall across Great Britain.
Hadrian.
What last emperor to rule over both the Western and Eastern Roman Empire ruled from 379 to 595? Upon his death, the empire was split between his young sons, Arcadius and Honorius.
Augustus Caesar.
No, Captain. No answer. Theodosius the First, or Theodosius the Great. So 20 points. Toss up 5. This man did case studies on figures named Anna O, Ratman, and Dora. This author of Totem and Taboo and Moses and Monotheism wrote about a little boy who had a fear of horses in his Little Hans study. This psychologist wrote about Irma's injection in one of his best-known works. For 10 points, named a psychologist who wrote The Interpretation of Dreams. And yes,
Freud.
10 bonus. Name these works by Italian composers for 10 points each. The title Egyptian princess dies in Radamesa's arms in what Giuseppe Verdi opera that includes the aria O Patria Mia.
Aida.
One character in this opera sings the aria Quando me vo to his lover. Identify this Giacomo Puccini opera that ends with Rodolfo's lover Mimi dying of tuberculosis.
Love of him.
The comedy is finished are the last words the audience hears after Silvio and Netta are stabbed to death by Canio in what Ruggiero Leoncavallo opera about clowns. Answer?
Rigoletto.
No, Captain.
Bobo Clown.
No, Pagliacci. Pagliacci. So 20 points.
There's someone at the door.
Oh.
I don't know if it's for you.
Oh, sorry. You're fine. That was really mean. I bust out an aria from Pagliacci for you all, but I'm not that cool. Toss up 6. This musician created a work based on an Aristophanes play, Lysistrata. This composer of The Happiest Girl in the World included a character named Public Opinion who investigates when John Styx holds a girl hostage. And in another of his works, Spallanzani creates a life-size doll by the name of Olympia. And in that same work, Dr. Miracle forces Antonia to sing until she dies. For 10 points, name this composer of Orpheus in the Underworld. And yes, 10 bonus. The Tales of Hoffman. Identify the following biological processes for 10 points each. What process within cellular respiration breaks glucose down into 2 molecules of pyruvate? Answer? Triggered by the release of cytochrome C is this process of programmed cell death. Answer? No.
Apoptosis.
Apoptosis. What stage of cellular respiration follows the Krebs cycle and sees the release of energy, which leads to the reformation of ATP? Answer? No answer? Okay.
Electron transport chain.
No, it's oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation. So 10 points for each side. And toss up 7. In this novel, the girl from Kaniki is performed after being chosen by the Thanatopsis Club over Androcles and the Lion. A maid in this story named Bia Sorensen marries Miles Bjornstam before dying along with her child. This novel setting is modeled on the author's hometown of Sauk Center, Minnesota, and is named Gopher Prairie. Yes. Time, no coffee. And is named Gopher Prairie. For 10 points, Carol Milford marries Will Kennicott in what Sinclair Lewis novel with a title invoking small town life. Yes?
Main Street.
10 bonus. Identify these men who have led Mexico for 10 points each. What man nicknamed Napoleon of the West signed the Treaty of Alaska with the Republic of Texas and ordered the Goliad Massacre? Answer?
Santa Anna?
Yes. What president of Mexico overthrew Maximilian I and helped create the plan of Ayutla? He won the Battle of Puebla. No, Captain. No answer. Benito Juarez. This man was missing during the massacre in the Great Temple, and this leader was succeeded by his brother, Cuitlahuac. Identify this man who was defeated by Hernan Cortez when ruling the Aztecs. Answer.
Easy one.
Prompt.
That's the second.
20. 8. The fusiform initial and scleriform perforations are found in this material that contains rays of parenchyma, and parts of this structure have highly lignified cell walls. This tissue contains tracheids and vessel elements and operates via root pressure or transpirational pull. For 10 points, identify this dead plant tissue that is responsible for transporting water and, yes? 10 bonus. Look, answer these questions about existentialist literature for 10 points each. Lucky leads Pozzo on a leash in what work that also features Vladimir and Estragon, who spend the entire play performing the title action.
Waiting for Godot.
What author who wrote about a man who listens to younger versions of himself in Kraft's last tape wrote Waiting for Godot?
Beckett.
What existentialist philosopher used pseudonyms Hilarious Bookbinder and Johannes Climacus in writings such as The Sickness Unto Death?
Sartre.
No, Captain?
Kierkegaard.
Yes, so 20 points and 10 points over here. Toss up 9. The Drava and Tiza rivers are tributaries of this river that flows by the Schönbrunn Palace and is crossed by the Szechenyi Chain Bridge. One tributary of this river, known as the Lech River, flows along the border of Austria and Germany, rising in the Black Forest and passing through the Iron Gate for 10 points, being the second longest river in Europe that flows through Belgrade, Budapest, and Vienna before reaching the Black Sea. Yes?
Then you.
Yes, 10 points. Answer these related questions from the world of pop culture for 10 points each. What former member of the hip-hop group Odd Future released the visual album Endless and the studio album Blonde in August 2016 after years of delays?
Frank Ocean.
He's right. George Clooney, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, and Brad Pitt were among the ensemble cast of what 2001 comedy movie about a heist at a Las Vegas casino?
Ocean's 11.
The band DNCE hit number 1 on the Adult 40 charts in 2016 with what song that features the line, "Talk to me, baby, I'm going after this sweet craving."
Cake by the Ocean.
30 points. Oh, the things Quizbowl makes me say. The things Quizbowl.
Honestly. Yes. Okay, you keep doing that. You're gonna.
Right, moving on. Toss up. This song's artists were forced to pay royalties to the Gap Band due to the song's similarity to their hit, Oops Upside Your Head. This song discusses making a dragon want to retire man and mentions, yes?
Art Council.
15 bonus.
Oh my god, that's garbage.
Now for some actual serious academic content. For 10 points each, answer these questions about famous art museums. What French art museum features the Mona Lisa and the Winged Victory of Samothrace, along with the famous glass pyramid?
The Louvre.
What Russian museum includes Rembrandt's Prodigal Son and was famously commissioned by Catherine the Great? Answer? No answer, Captain?
Russian art museum.
No, it's the Hermitage. The Hermitage. The Solomon R. Guggenheim Foundation signed a contract in 2006 to build a new museum in what Middle Eastern capital city that is scheduled for completion in 2017?
Dubai.
No, Captain? No answer. Right country, wrong city. Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi. So that is 10 points. Though I suppose you could eat your cake by the ocean there, so I have a halftime score of 240 to 90. Great. All right. Coaches, would you like a moment or shall we press on?
I would just like to revel in the fact that all three of us got the same score.
The only room that's
First
actually-
time, and all four of us. Fantastic. Okay.
All right. Both sides ready? Good luck to both teams. Here's toss up 11. The agenda of this organization was to lobby for the U.S. to withdraw from an organization led by Francis Blanchard. John Lewis broke away from this group to found the United Mine Workers of America and former president of this, and the former, yes?
Knights of Labor.
No, and the former president of this group was George Meany. This labor union chose not to support George McGovern during the 1972 presidential election. For 10 points, named this labor union, one part of which was founded by Samuel Gompers. Time. It is the AFL-CIO. AFL-CIO. So, where am I going with this? There we go. Toss up. This man has dreams about a meteorite shower and encounters 2 scorpion men while attempting to count 12. Yes? 15 bonus. Answer these questions pertaining to organic chemistry for 10 points each. What functional group has a carbon atom doubly bonded to an oxygen atom? Answer? No, Captain.
Carbonyl.
Carbonyl. What functional group has a nitrogen atom singly bonded to 3 other groups? Answer? No, Captain.
Nitrite.
No, it's an amine. Amine. Jones reagent will oxidize these compounds to a carboxylic acid. Identify these compounds that contain a hydroxyl group. Yes, so 10 points on both sides. Toss-up 13. The confirmation hearing of Clarence Thomas was presided over by this man, who was at that time serving as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. This man accused Rudy Giuliani of mentioning a verb, a noun, a verb, and 9/11 in every sentence, and he withdrew from a prior presidential bid after it was found that he had plagiarized a British politician's speeches. For 10 points, identify this former senator from Delaware, currently serving as vice president. Yes? Time. Yes?
Joe Biden.
Yes. 10? Yeah, it happens to everyone, man. Toss up. Identify these North American rivers for, bonus. Identify these North American rivers for 10 points each. What longest river in North America flows through the cities of Kansas City, Omaha, and Bismarck?
Mississippi River.
No, Captain? Missouri. What longest river in Canada rises in the Great Slave Lake and is entirely contained within the Yukon and Northwest Territories?
St. Lawrence.
No, Captain?
Yukon.
No, it's the Mackenzie. What river that empties into the Gulf of Mexico after joining the Apalachicola River forms a large portion of the border between Alabama and Georgia? Answer?
Tennessee River.
No, Captain.
Alabama River.
I know, it's the Chattahoochee. So, 10 points over here. That's a really badly written bonus, and we'll just move on. No, they're being very tricky with that Missouri River part, because if you count the Missouri and then the part where it joins the Mississippi, then it becomes the longest. Most people refer to that as like the Missouri-Mississippi, so. Toss up 14. This man's only seascape was stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and was entitled, yes?
Rembrandt.
Great buzz, 15. Identify these congressional acts for 10 points each. What 1906 legislation was passed in the aftermath of Upton Sinclair's The Jungle to regulate pharmaceutical and edible products? Answer?
Food and Drug Administration Act.
Incorrect, Captain.
Yay.
No, it's the Pure Food and Drug Act. What 1914 legislation was passed in an attempt to further control monopolies after the issue had first been addressed in 1890 in an act named for Sherman?
Clayton Antitrust Act.
Yes. And what 1967 legislation allowed for the release of government documents and required government agencies to publish documents in the Federal Register?
Freedom of Information Act.
20 points. Toss up 15. This country's last king, Thabal, was part of the Kwan Wang dynasty, while its Milestone Dam was damaged during a protest by the Kachin Independence Army. Yes? No penalty. The Stillwell Road is an offshoot of this country's tidal path, while its State Law and Order Restoration Council put down the 8,888 uprising. While Tain Singh ran the State Peace and Development Council in this nation, a Nobel Prize winner was kept on house arrest for over 15 years. For 10 points, being the Southeast Asian country home to Aung San Suu Kyi, with capital at Naypyidaw. Yes?
Burma?
10 bonus. Or Myanmar, I can accept either. Answer these questions about the fireside poets for 10 points each. What fireside poet was known for the poetry collections Maud Muller and Snowbound?
Whittier.
What fireside poet and father of a future Supreme Court Chief Justice wrote The Autocrat of the Breakfast Table?
Oliver Wendell Holmes.
He wasn't a Supreme Court Chief Justice, he was a Massachusetts State Court Chief Justice and the Supreme Court Associate Justice. You're right. Question's wrong, but you're right. What fireside poet who published the first Snowfall upon the death of his daughter is known for a book-length poem entitled A Fable for Critics?
Lowell.
Yes. Holmes Jr. acted as Supreme Court Chief Justice, but he was never officially in that position. 30 points. I read a big, like, 600-page biography of the guy, so it's like, okay. Toss-up 16. The bridge to total freedom is central to this faith that practices the good roads, fair weather policy. Members of this religion undergo a spiritual healing process known as auditing, and they despise an ancient alien known as, yes?
Scientology.
10 bonus. This man discussed the concept of peak experiences. For 10 points each, identify this American psychologist who wrote Towards a Psychology of Being. Answer?
What?
No, Captain.
Maslow.
Maslow. Maslow is best known for developing this theory, stating that humans must satisfy their physiological and safety goals before they can achieve love, belonging, and esteem.
Hierarchy of needs.
What highest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is described as the time in which an individual has reached his or her full potential.
Self-actualization.
20 points, 10 points. Toss-up 17. This organization prepared the Lytton Report in response to the Mookton incident. This establishment was said to be no good at all when eagles fall out by Benito Mussolini, and Haile Selassie made a speech about this organization not intervening in the Italian invasion of Ethiopia. This organization was created as a result of the Paris Peace Conference and was opposed by Henry Cabot Lodge. For 10 points, name this group. Yes?
League of Nations.
10 bonus. Somatostatin is secreted by the delta cells of this organ. For 10 points each, identify this endocrine organ that also produces both glucagon and insulin.
Pancreas.
What structure within the pancreas includes the alpha and beta cells that secrete glucagon and insulin?
Matrix.
No, Captain. No answer. It's called the islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. Cancer in the pancreas may be treated by removing the head of the pancreas, a procedure known by this name. Answer?
Pancreotomy.
No, Captain.
Pancreectomy.
No, it's the Whipple procedure, or the pancreaticoduodenectomy. I'd just go with Whipple procedure if I were you guys, if that
Okay.
comes up again. So that's 10 points over here. I think I should get a bonus hazard pay for having to go through that alternate answer. Toss up 18. In one scene from this work, one character finds a key that magically opens all of the doors in a castle belonging to a giant and a giantess. Another character in this work is burned at the stake while in Vanity Fair. That character is named Faithful. The protagonist of this, yes?
Owen's father.
10. Bonus? Answer these questions about an American artist for 10 points each. What artist of Full Fathom 5 and Blue Holes is known by the nickname Jack the Dripper?
Pollock.
Pollock's works such as Lavender Mist are an example of what art movement also associated with Willem de Kooning?
Abstract expressionism.
What fellow abstract expressionist artist of Seated Nude and Gaia was the wife of Jackson Pollock and managed his estate after he was killed in a car accident? Answer?
Ernst.
No, Captain.
Mrs. Holly.
Nice try.
He's right about technicality.
Lee Krasner. He's not because she kept her last name. Lee Krasner. Krasner. 20 points. It is a good answer. It's a creative answer. I like it. Toss up 19. The letterbird studied this organism, whose recombinant variety is used to produce insulin. This vitamin K-producing organism is the main prey of the T4 phage, and it has an O157:H7 strain, a gram-negative bacteria normally found in the colon. For 10 points, yes,
E. coli.
10 bonus. This form of poetry consists of 17 syllables in phrases of 5, 7, and 5. I think we all know where this is going. For 10 points each, identify this form of poetry that originated in Japan.
Haiku.
What Japanese author of The Monkey's Raincoat and The Seashell Game is considered to be the greatest master of haiku?
Basho.
What basho work inspired by Du Fu is a combination of haiku and a travel diary made during a trip through Japan in the 1600s?
Travels of a Worn Satchel.
Incorrect, Captain.
Narrow road to the north.
Narrow Road to the Deep North. So 20 points, 10. Toss up 20, toss up the last. One character in this play is in love with Dunyasha and is nicknamed the 22 Calamities. At the end of this play, the servant Fears realizes that he has been left to die by the central family. One character in this play, Lopakin, hopes to save, yes?
Accidental bus.
No penalties, too deep in the question, sorry. One character in this play, Lopakin, hopes to save the title establishment by turning it into summer cottages. For 10 points, name this Anton Chekhov play that ends with the sounds of saws beginning to cut down the title location. Yes?
Cherry orchard.
10 bonus. This figure opened a box that released all of the evils of the world. For 10 points each, name this figure from Greek myth who was modeled by Hephaestus.
Pandora.
What daughter of Pandora and Epimetheus survived the great flood sent by Zeus with help of an ark built by her husband Deucalion? Answer?
Io.
No, Captain?
No.
No answer. Pyrrha. Pyrrha. The myth of Pandora appears in what Greek poets' works, Theogony and Works and Days?
Hesiod.
That's 20 points. And I have a final score of 455, Daviess 165. You're not Glasgow A, you're Grayson A, so let me fix your name on the
We
sheet.
all have the same.
And so 455, 165. Thank you.